From the iHeartRadio studios in New York City, come two diehard fans of the greatest rock and roll band hailing from Hollywood, California. Dissecting all things Guns N' Roses and anything else in their distorted minds, it's Brando and Scotto.
'Cause you know what the fuck you are!
And this is Appetite for Distortion.
Try it again!
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode 30.
Wow.
Dirty 30.
Nice.
Yes, it is Brando. Scotto not with me today. He is a busy man lately. But I had to make time for today for my co-host slash, and I cut off really awkwardly, so it's fine. That's because I'm by myself. I have to press buttons and talk and corral and do all these things by myself. But it's all good. Appetite for Distortion, episode 30. So with me today, we're going to introduce them properly in just a few moments. But Paradise Kitty, Jenna, and Rachael are here. So you can say hi, so you're not...
Hello. Hi, guys.
So you're not just flies on the wall just yet. So a couple things to address since our last episode that were important. We recorded it literally the night before, probably one of the worst days, I think, in a lot of people's recent memory. Of course, we just started the show with Tom Petty, who passed away at the age of 66, came out of nowhere, it seemed.
Yeah.
My cousin out in California, because his last show was at the Hollywood Bowl, right?
I saw his second to last show.
Okay, because my cousin went to that. So second and last show, and my brother just saw him in Ohio. I had never seen him, so I'm going to regret that. So we'll see if Guns N' Roses do cover Free Fallin' or anything else by Tom Petty, because they've been doing Chris Cornell and Wichita Lineman, Glenn Campbell. So we'll see what happens. And of course, the other, don't want to bring it up, but I guess you have to, because we like to be real, everything else that's going on in the world. What happened in Las Vegas? You know the story. You're here for Guns N' Roses. If anything, and I tweeted this out after, because we're getting more and more nervous about what concerts to go to. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Guns N' Roses as we're taping this in just a couple days. We're taping this on the 9th, so I'm seeing them the 11th, Madison Square Garden. If that's the way I go out, not to be cryptic, that's the way I go out. I'm not going to stop living my life.
Right.
So it is said. I guess I wanted to acknowledge those couple things. And I do want to thank our last episode, Alan St. Elisa. He is a musician that played with Izzy back before Guns N' Roses, back before Hollywood Rose. So if you missed episode 29, definitely catch up with that. But I do not want to waste any more of your time or any more of these lovely ladies' time. So Paradise Kitty, which is just an incredible name, by the way. So tribute band, is that the proper way to say it?
Yeah. Tribute, homage, and party band.
Okay, yeah. I like that. Because you remember that movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
It's not a cover band. It's
a tribute.
You never know. So I wanted to make sure that I got it out properly. Yeah. So with me today is Jenna Syde, right?
That's me.
All right, so you vocals.
Yep, I'm the singer.
And I like your gun dangly earrings.
I wore them for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And then Rachael Rine, right?
Yes. And I play drums.
And you have the Steven Adler blonde hair.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, it just kind of worked out that way.
And I just saw a picture of you guys together recently, right? On your Instagram?
There was a thing at the Ultimate Jam?
Yeah, the Ultimate Jam night.
At the Whiskey. And Steven sat in and played a few songs, but I sat in and played, Jenna played. It was a GNR tribute night. You know, they have a bunch of different musicians from different bands and all sit in and play. And I was called and asked to do a couple songs and possibly a few more in case Steven didn't come. So
okay.
But he turned up. He sounded amazing. He's such a sweetheart. I've done shows with him in the past, different tours and stuff, and it was great. Always great to watch him play those songs. His feel is like nobody else.
Yep.
So.
And you said this was at the Whiskey, which means you're from LA?
Yeah, we're LA
right?
band.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, with the sound quality, you're not over the phone. You're here in studio. So you're here in New York City. How come you're here? I'm glad you're here.
We have a show this Wednesday, actually, right after the MSG show. It's the after party at Blackthorn 51.
In Elmhurst, right?
Yeah, in Elmhurst, yeah. So we're here to party with all the gunners that haven't gotten enough of it after the show. We want to put on a great show for everybody and just rock out, you know.
Might have some special guests sitting in.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to jump on stage with the kiddies here and there.
Yeah, we tend to have guests come in and play with us every now and then, so, you know.
I don't want to give away what could be a guest, but what are some past guests that you've had?
Oh gosh, just about every show we play, we have a guest.
Yeah.
So we've had everyone from Brent Fitz from The Conspirators come in and play with us, to Dizzy Reed come and play with us. To
Alex Grossi from Quiet Riot. Quiet Riot.
From Quiet Riot. And, you know, Alex also spent 10
It's the
10
time
years.
lapse.
Alex also spent 10 years playing with Adler.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, we always have friends come and sit in and join the party. I mean, they're great songs that we are lucky to be able to play, and we love to have more people come and just be part of the bigger the party, the better for us. So,
all right, because I want to take several steps back. I want to find out the precipice behind Paradise Kitty and how that started, because it's a unique thing. You know, to be in a tribute band, to be an all-female tribute band. I do just want to read, because I like the second line of your bio, I believe, on Facebook. Of course, the obvious, Paradise City is a band of 5 girls who grew up loving Guns N' Roses. Listening alone couldn't satiate these kittens. I don't know, that line. That line made me laugh a little bit. So how did it come about? Why Guns N' Roses? Why is this not a New Kids on the Block cover band? Why is this not a Hall & Oates cover band?
I'm not a great dancer. I can move more like Axl than I can like Donnie Wahlberg.
Okay.
So, it came about through a mutual friend that called Rachael and also called me, and we had a couple of rehearsals, got together, and started kicking ass right out of the gate out in Hollywood. So.
That's it? Just, hey, you want to be in a Guns N' Roses cover band?
I literally got the call. Hey, do you want to be the singer for my GNR tribute band I want to start up? Yeah, I really. Then I text back. Yep, I really think I do. That sounds awesome.
That's just saying the call. I feel like that's the end of the story. Like, what were you doing beforehand? Obviously, I'm assuming you were a singer. You didn't just discover.
We all have our other projects and our other bands that we continue to play in. And, you know, when you're a musician, you tend to stick your fingers in a lot of pies and work on a bunch of stuff. So we all have our other things that we work on and we do.
Okay.
And, you know, it was a mutual friend that called both of us and was like, I want to do a GNR tribute band. You guys want to do it? And, you know, I thought about it and I was like, it's a perfect time for it. I love the band. It would just when it feels right, it feels right. So we jumped in.
When did it start?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, about 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
Wait, was that before or after? I mean, I should know if I had the podcast.
It was before the reunion, but I knew the reunion was happening.
Okay.
Like their agents and lawyers, I sat next to them at a meeting listening to them talk about the reunion. So it hadn't been announced yet, but I knew it was going to happen.
Because you hear a lot of people who are inside, they had no idea the reunion was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, no, I knew. I knew when their agent sits and is like, Rachael, this is going down. We're already holding venues. It's happening. You know, he probably, one of their agents, and I shouldn't say that because he probably wasn't allowed to tell me that, but.
It's unnamed. It's unnamed. I'm sure they have a million agents.
It was a manager, agent, maid, person, friend. Let's make it very vague.
Okay. Your father's brother's sister's former roommate. Something like that.
The uncle, daddy,
allegedly,
cousin.
and allegedly.
Allegedly. So it just, I don't know, it just felt right and felt like a good idea and a good time, and it just so we came together. We had 2 rehearsals, one of which was auditioning members.
Yeah.
And then we played our first show, and at the first show we did Appetite front to back in order.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, everyone kind of did their job, and you know, we've bounced in and out a lot of different string players, you know, just finding the right people who are available at the right time. But Jen and I just kind of took the helm and, you know, have just made this a traveling party for all the Guns N' Roses fans, and it's a blast.
And Rachel and I got a bit we're kind of tenacious bitches, so we take on something and we roll with it and take it as far as we possibly can. So, and I mean, it's gotten us on cruises. We have residencies. We have a standing residency at the Viper Room till the end of the year, every last Friday of the month.
Awesome.
And also the week that Guns N' Roses is in LA, we're doing after parties every night at the Viper Room after every show.
That's incredible, because you've been going a lot of places. You're on some sort of like road trip right now. We just. Is it a normal thing that you do, or is it usually you play local?
It's a normal thing for musicians to do.
Yes.
Paradise Kitty has always. I mean, we've done flyouts. We do a lot of flyouts, but I never thought this would be a band that would do weekday shows that actually did a proper tour. But the Paradise City fan club, not Paradise Kitty, but the Paradise City fan club asked us to do some after parties around some of the GNR dates for this leg.
Okay.
So I sent them to my agent and I said, here's the dates. They wanted to do a couple parties. I thought we might do like a couple around LA and Vegas, and that was it.
Okay.
And he called me back the next day and said, they want you in a dozen cities.
That's amazing.
So it turned into us coming out here for a week, and then we go home for 2 weeks, do a show in LA, and then we fly into Pittsburgh and do an east to west tour, half of those dates hitting the GNR shows.
See, that's amazing to me, what this band could do. I mean, it's one thing when they weren't together. It was years ago, I would see GNR cover bands. I remember seeing a GNR cover band with a Van Halen cover band. And this was before even Van Halen got back together. And it's like, this is the only chance to see them. And they were good shows. But it's different now that they are back. Actually, it's part. I was going to read this in my GNR news segment. Hold on, I have a soundbite for that. I'm going to see if it makes you laugh. News. Shotgun news, shotgun blues.
That's funny.
I'm on medication.
Can you share?
They just raked in $53 million for their third leg of the North American tour, and $300 million so far. So people are going out to see them, but people are obviously going out to see you as well. Yeah. And that's when I noticed. We are
not making $53 million, but if we did, I would not complain.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us would, but that's what I noticed because I follow a lot of different GNR camps on Twitter and Facebook, and I saw you ladies were coming out here. I'm like, I want to get them in studio. I want to see what this is all about, because you seem very connected to your fans, and it's such a great listener base and fan base GNR has that you are getting accustomed to now. We're getting accustomed to with this podcast.
Well, you know what? It's not just that we're getting accustomed to the fan base. We are the fan base.
Yeah, that's what I said.
We are the
We're
fans.
Super fans.
You know,
right.
So it's cool. You know, it's cool to connect with our fellow
GNR family around the world,
with our kinfolk.
You know?
Absolutely, that's what I said. I'm not an expert. I'm just a GNR fan that happens to be in radio. That's it.
Yeah.
So who was the one that got you all together? I want to know, what was the reason? Again, why? I know you guys were asked, but were you casual GNR fans, or was it like, hey, we want to be Guns N' Roses for? I don't know.
No, it was. I mean, GNR is one of those staple bands for us. It's just like we've grown up with them. It's just a part of who we are. And it was a mutual friend who played with us initially, and then she could only do weekends. She had like a day job and couldn't really tour and stuff. So
we're tenacious bitches. We know we can take it as far as we can.
It quickly got bigger than she could handle. Yeah. So we had to find people that could professionally tour.
I gotcha.
And be able to handle the volume of shows.
And you're all from LA?
I'm from New Mexico, but I've been in LA for a long time.
And I'm born and raised LA.
Okay.
So. Yeah. And a couple of our other girls, our bass player and Jenna grew up together.
Yeah.
And our two guitarists, one's from North Carolina, one's from Connecticut, but we all live in LA.
So. All right. So take me back to when you were little girls, the first time you heard Guns N' Roses. Do you remember?
I remember distinctly the first time I heard GNR.
Story.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't the first time I heard them. It was the first time I heard Appetite, the whole album.
Okay.
And I was in school. I was in like junior high, and we had to run track for PE class. And someone put out a little stereo and played Appetite for the hour we ran track. And
all right.
And you know what? I remember I'm not a runner. I hate running. Put me on the track. Tell me to run. I'm gonna want to tell you to go up yours. But, so I'll hike, don't like running. So I'm stuck running, but I remember running for that hour, not even realizing I had been running because I was just so fixated on listening to every note. So.
And Axl says, out to get me, and you're just running.
Yeah, out to get me. I'm innocent.
So that was, what about you?
Gosh. I mean, of course, everybody remembers the first time that they saw Welcome to the Jungle on MTV, But my most definitive time that I really remember connecting with GNR was it was right after the '94 earthquake in Los Angeles. It was huge. It was like a 6.5.
Sure.
And
didn't that interrupt the World? Not the World Series. I may be thinking.
No, you're thinking the 80, I think it's the 89 San Francisco quake.
Close enough.
Yeah, this is a couple years, a couple hundred miles in between.
All right, I'll edit that out.
But this earthquake hit probably, God, I remember it was in the middle of the night, and I woke up, and it was right after, I was watching Headbangers Ball, and right before the earthquake hit, they had November Rain was on.
Okay.
And I was watching that, and like the video just takes your breath away every time you watch it, And after that, the whole world shook, and people were screaming. Nobody could do anything. I couldn't go to school for almost 2 months because our school was completely demolished, and so I stayed home. And Guns N' Roses was on regular rotation. You had Don't Cry. You had November Rain, everything from the whole trilogy, all the Use Your Illusion videos were on constant play.
Videos.
So that was like a kind of an imprint, and especially with November Rain hitting right before that earthquake, and now it's my favorite GNR song of all time.
What was the scene like when you were were you rocker girls growing up, or was it just the one exception? I'm just trying to character build, who you are in the path and get to where we are now.
I was raised on good rock and roll. So my parents always listened to good music, and so I was raised on a lot of good stuff. But I quickly became a rocker girl when I was probably 10 years old. My friends were listening to pop music, and I just went to the dark side. and once, you know what they say, once you go black, you never go
Well, yeah, in relation to the dark side, I'll take it.
In relationship to the dark side, yes. So, I went to the dark side, and that was that. And then, music became
was it
my
weird?
whole life.
But were you an outcast back then when you were a rocker?
I don't know.
Everyone we talk to, it's different because of where you grow up, when you grew up. So that's what I'm trying to get a feel for.
I think for me, it was... I've always just done what I do, and not everyone always accepts it, and I don't care. So I've just always done what I do. And if I like something, I like something. And if I don't, I don't. And that's that. I've never tried to really fit in with a group or a crowd. And I grew up in a really, really, really small town in New Mexico where the groups of different people weren't as segregated because there wasn't enough people to segregate. So when you have a class of 10 kids, there's not really room for different groups and cliques.
Sure. Fair enough.
So it's just... you got 10 kids. That's barely enough to have a group of friends. So
that's very small.
Yeah. So it just kind of, it was what it was.
Okay.
But
for me, my dad was a punk rocker and my mom was a groupie. I grew up in LA,
Okay.
So I grew up around rock and roll all the time. I mean, my first gig was at the Whiskey A Go Go when I was 14 years old.
Oh wow.
And so I've been playing the scene for a long time, and I guess you could say that it was weird, but I was never an outcast. The only reason I was cool and had friends in high school was because I was in a band.
Okay.
It's because, if not, I was the president of the School Thespian Society. I was the president of the Arts Honor Society and the History Society, and I was the secretary for the Gay Straight Alliance. I had all these after-school things I was into. I graduated with the 3.86, and
nerd alert!
Total nerd.
I like it.
I was a super nerd, but I was also in a thrash metal band. So
awesome.
And rock and roll ran in my blood. But so did comic books. Okay. And nerdy stuff. So
I like that. That. Because you're both with the personalities that you're meant to be in a Guns N' Roses cover band.
Oh.
You don't give a shit. You just care. I am who I am. One thing I didn't notice, and I did like, a lot of the tribute bands, they dress up as the band. Sometimes it's kind of cool, I guess. And sometimes it's kind of weird where it's like there are ones that are it's kind of sad.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess but you don't do that at all.
No. When our friend called us and said, she called me and was like, Rach, do you want to do this? I was like, I thought about it and I was like, I do want to do it, but I have some ground rules. Number one, I'm not taking some stupid name and like, being like, some weird campy spin-off on Steven Adler. I'm not going to do that. We are not dressing like them. We're not trying to look like them. We aren't like we in our own right have our own fan bases for what we do musically. And I want to bring, 5 girls who are already rock stars to the table and have them play some cool songs. I don't want to make them wear wigs and weird outfits and try to like mimic some dude. It just that was one of my first ground rules. Like no weird names, no weird outfits, none of that. Like I come to the table as Rachael Rine, paying tribute to Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
You didn't want to be like Stephanie Adler?
God, no, that's weird. That's weird. That's just weird.
Or maybe Ashley Rose for you, Jenna? No?
No.
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 See, I like that too. I mean, you have cool like names, I guess, in general, assuming they're they're real names. Jenna.
Yeah, well, both of us, like we said, we had our own projects, and this Paradise Kitty has put a huge spotlight on our own projects also. So if we change our names, we change our look, then what are we actually doing for our careers when we have something it's taken off?
Are you familiar with Camp Freddy?
Yeah.
So it would be like the guys coming to Camp Freddy and taking on weird, funny names and trying to. It's just not gonna. That's not gonna fly. It's not gonna happen.
And I like
you see, like, some of those guys getting up there with some weird name and like trying to look like someone else.
It can be very cheesy. I mean, there's something to be said about
I appreciate the ones that do it, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But like we didn't ever want to like come out and like try to recreate Guns N' Roses. We're just paying tribute in our style to them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can. That's what I was going to. Where you are your own band.
Yeah.
Jenna, you have a rasp, but it's not Axl. Where you're trying to sound like Axl.
Yeah. Well, I'm a girl. My vocal cords are built differently, so it's like trying to make a Stratocaster sound like a Les Paul. It's not going to happen, no matter how many different phasers you put on it or different effects. And so I sing his songs the way that they make me feel. So if when I'm feeling it, that's how I sing it.
I like it.
Thanks.
And because you're just going with your own style. So when I'm watching your videos on YouTube, it's like I'm just watching a band. They happen to be playing, Guns N' Roses. That's it. It's not because there is something to be said about good-looking girl in a Slash top hat or a kilt or something. But if you don't have to do that. So.
Yeah, no, and we don't need to. We could. I mean, if Jenna wanted to,
every now and then I'll wear the bandana.
If she wanted to come out wearing the white bike shorts, I wouldn't complain because she's got a great booty, and I stare at her all night on stage.
Oh, no complaints. Anyway, I mean, you're all fishneted up there, so you're completely rocked out. I love that part.
But we don't need to do that to put on a good show. The music speaks for itself, and we do our best to play it as well as we can, and that kind of says it all right there.
Yeah.
So
and we bring a party element to it too. It's we're there for everybody's entertainment, and so we want to kick ass at the music and make everybody have a good time.
And it's Paradise Kitty Band. I know that's the website, but is that also the handle for Twitter, Instagram? I mean, we'll say
on Twitter it's Paradise Kitty with the underscore.
The underscore. That's right.
Yeah, and then on Instagram and Facebook, Paradise Kitty Band.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So along your path, because you said a lot of people who have come up on stage, what has your journey been like? Like when you first started meeting these people, did they come? Did you reach out? What's
we live in
like?
LA. We live in Hollywood. I mean, I live right in the heart of Hollywood. So,
I mean, do you like see Dizzy Reed at the supermarket, and you're like, hey, you want to come down, or or he just shows up to your show?
Well, like a lot of the people that have sat in and played with us are old friends.
Okay.
So I've met. I mean, the first time I met Slash was at the Cat Club probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
I've been to his house after a funeral, and he showed me his snake room, and we, all hung out and listened to the guys jam on guitars after we buried a good friend of ours, and, things like that. So it's just, in Hollywood, it's like New York. New York's a small town. Mm-hmm. LA's a small town, too. And you see each other, and you bump into each other, and, it all becomes just like part of the same scene. So, we've just invited a lot of our friends to come play. There's a lot of friends that want to come play that just tour-wise hasn't worked out for them to make it there, you know? So, Paige Hamilton, I will get you down there one day, damn it.
Nice.
But he's so busy, he can never make it. So, it's kind of, it's not like if we made friends with these people through Paradise Kitty.
Okay.
It's just the friendships and the stuff was already there.
Yeah.
Dizzy plays, his band Hookers and Blow.
Mm-hmm.
Our booking agent, Alex Grossi, plays in Hookers and Blow.
Oh.
So, they came out to do a West Coast, do some shows. So Alex booked one show with us just to kind of see if Dizzy was cool with it. Because Dizzy's played with every GNR tribute band out there over the years with Hookers and Blow. And afterwards, Dizzy's like, I don't want to play without the girls on the West Coast. I want them to play with us. They're the only GNR tribute band I've played with that cops the right feel. And so
like this.
That's so flat. You were,
cops that feel.
Jenna was miming squeezing
I was
boobs.
doing the hand boobs.
Yes.
So,
on the radio, so I had to describe it.
when we do shows together, we jump up on stage with him, he jumps up on stage with us, we all just hang out and just rock out. It's cool.
Yeah.
So.
That's definitely been one of the highlights of the band, or the players
It's
that
fun.
we played with, is jumping up on stage with Dizzy and singing Sweet Child. That's cool.
All right, so then since you didn't meet them through the band, take us through just meeting them, just living your life.
First time I met Axl was when he was recording Chinese Democracy at Cherokee Studios.
Okay, wow.
And it was the early on in the recording. He was in there with, I think he was there with RTV, with Roy Thomas Baker. And met him briefly in the lobby of this recording studio. Saw him at other recording studios throughout that long recording process. And then years later, I worked for his record labels. So at the time, I was Jimmy Iovine's assistant, who was the head of, at the time, Interscope, Geffen, A&M,
Okay.
MCA, and DreamWorks. So the same Jimmy Iovine that just did the Defiant series and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, and at that time, I used to argue with Jimmy about Axl all the time because he wanted to cut him off and wanted to, quit paying for him to eternally record, because Jimmy really wanted a reunion because he thought a reunion would make a lot of money. And
Well, it is, but
and I used to argue with Jimmy about it, and I used to tell him that Axl is an artist and he has a child he needs to birth right now, and instead of fighting him on that, you should help him get it out. He's obviously having a hard time getting the sucker out because he's been recording for so long. He's been in this process and he hasn't gotten to what he needs to get out. And as an artist, he's not going to stop until he does. So instead of fighting him on that and putting down, drawing a line in the sand, why don't you get your ass in the studio and help him? Because Jimmy's also a producer. So Jimmy and I would argue about it. He'd be like, I don't know, I just want a reunion. And he'd wander off. So years later, I went and saw GNR play a residency in Vegas. It was the first night of the residency.
Okay.
And DJ Ash was an old dear friend of mine. We worked together on projects and stuff many years ago. And so afterwards, DJ put me on the list, and we went up to Axl's suite party afterwards. And, I hadn't seen Axl in years. I talked to him on the phone a couple times, but we never really connected, And, so we were drinking a glass of champagne together, and I was telling him about that I used to argue with Jimmy about this, and he was like, thank you so much for that. And he was like, but what kills me is you just did the Jimmy Iovine voice. I do the Jimmy voice too. And we both started doing our Jimmy impressions, and we got a good laugh out of it and drank a bottle of champagne.
that's funny. I always like hearing about his sense of humor because he seems like he has a great one, and a very smart sense of humor.
Yeah. He's a smart man, and he's always been nothing but kind and sweet to me. Every time I've met him or crossed his path, he's always been really cool. So
I mean, that's what you hear. And then all those years of just all the negative stuff, but now he seems out and about and happy, hearing all these wonderful stories about the man. So
listen, you could put something in the middle of a room, and depending on where you're standing, you're going to have a different perspective of it.
Absolutely.
So, some people have different experiences. And also, I think there's a lot of people out there that when somebody is so wildly talented and successful, a lot of people feel somehow threatened by that, and they want to cut it down. So they, that's their attachment to it, is talking shit. And that's not cool. So
Then when did you meet Slash? Because I guess I wanted your...
Oh God! Over the years, we've it's Hollywood's a small town. You catch Slash at the Rainbow having a chicken salad or a pizza every now and again. He's always out and about. He's and then for a while I used to run a recording studio under the Sunset Marquis Hotel. It's now called Nightbird Studios. At the time, it was unnamed. And Slash and my boss were good friends. So I think I first met him at the Cat Club. He'd always be around and about. Randy Castillo's funeral after party, hung out at his house with him. Sunset Marquis, my boss, Jed Lieber, and him, he came to Jed and wanted help with the Guitar Hero that he did.
Okay.
So he came in every day and worked for however long it took them to write that and score that and get that, put that all together, because Jed was a master at scoring, to picture, which is a little different way of writing and recording.
Okay.
So they came in and they worked on that together, and so I just always kind of seen him around here and there, and his band members and the Conspirators, Brent Fitz is an old dear friend, so he always would be like, Slash, look at the girls, watch this video, check them out. And then I took all the girls to a show once with the Conspirators, and they got to meet Slash, and it was so cute because he was, he had his line of people signing stuff by the buses, and we waited in the line and got up, and he saw us and was like, oh my God, you girls are Paradise Kitty, I love your band.
He was
that's so cool.
That's
he's
awesome.
signing, and he's looking down, and he looks up, he's like, you're the Paradise Kitty girls. Like, I stood there, I'm like, holy fucking shit. I'm sorry, I probably can't curse on this, can't I?
You can, it's a
okay.
podcast.
I was beside myself. I had never met him before. I was beside myself, just like, oh my God, Slash knows who we are. Slash knows who I am. He's like, you're the singer. And I didn't freak out. I just sat there going, hi.
That had to have been just too surreal.
It was so cool. And after we left, I mean, it's a rare occasion that I get starstruck, but that's one of your heroes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're leaving and we're walking away, and I'm like, okay, can anybody see me, girls? No. And I just get on the floor and I start crying. I'm like, oh my God. Slash knew who we were. I'm like in the parking lot in tears. It was so cool.
It was cute.
I like that.
But he also, where he rehearses in LA is literally, it's like a little side alleyway street, and there's rehearsal rooms on either side, like different structures and studios and stuff. And his room that he has his lockout in is literally right across, like my window to my drum room stares at his room. So, and for years, I mean, I've rehearsed in that building on and off for years. So with my old band, we'd be in there rehearsing, and we'd stop rehearsing, and in the room right next door to us was Steven Adler, because Steven Adler's bandmates had gotten us the rehearsal room. So you'd hear Steven Adler playing a song, and then Steven would stop, and you'd hear Slash across the little alleyway playing the same song. So it was just kind of crazy. So, when I was in there learning the songs, I was kind of embarrassed, because I'm like, my drum room is the only room with a window, so that it booms down the street so you could hear what I'm playing. And I'm like hacking through this song trying to learn something, and I wonder if they're out there listening. I'm embarrassed. But I'd always see them in the parking lot, or, always Brent would pop over and say hi, or I'd pop over there and say hi to them.
Because I was going to ask, since you knew some of these people before, I mean, obviously you knew about the reunion through a source.
Yeah. Just I've worked in music forever, so I always know all the business people that
Sure.
got stuff going on.
But did you ever anticipate this reunion ever happening? That's
you know
my
what? This
question.
is an interesting story. I don't think I've ever even told you this, Jenna. So this friend of mine who runs political campaigns, he is like the guy that comes in and will fix and work an entire political campaign, and he does it internationally. So he'll go to Africa and help someone become the head of state or something, you know. So he called me once and was like, I have this idea to make the Guns N' Roses reunion happen, and he wanted to do this fan-driven campaign for no money to help the guys get their shit together and get back together.
Okay.
So he wanted to do this fan-driven campaign, and I kind of helped him come up with some ideas for it, where it was people send in videos and do stuff of what would you do for a GNR reunion? Instead of what would you do for a Klondike bar? What would you do for a GNR reunion? And he started compiling stuff to put together this whole media campaign to petition the guys to reunite. And it was so cool. So I told him, I'll help you. I think this is a cool idea. And then I started hearing little whispers about a real reunion happening. And I told him, I was like, stop your campaign, man. Stop your campaign. Don't waste your time.
Oh, that's funny.
It's going down.
Crazier things have happened. I mean, I think the internet got Betty White to host SNL. So you never know.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
And there wasn't, did you guys see that thing with all those fans? I think it was in some Nordic region that they wanted the Foo Fighters to play.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that happened, right? Yeah.
So it was
I think that was in Italy.
It was a whole park full of people that sang a Foo Fighters song. All the fans just turned up.
A couple thousand people.
Yeah.
They came up and sang and asked them to come play. I mean, that's
cool.
That's cool to have that access to your fan base that used to not be available to musicians, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And that access to your rock stars for fans, you know, it's kind of cool.
But you, aside from the campaign and when you heard that it was going to happen, you never thought, again, not in this lifetime.
I thought
as someone who grew up on it,
I thought at some point it might.
Okay.
I thought it would.
I prayed. I prayed that it would.
Didn't we all?
I mean, you know, I've spent so much time with the wizard behind the curtain on so many different projects. I know that anything's possible. for the right amount and with the right team and with the right pitch, anything's possible.
That's why I'm still shocked that Led Zeppelin hasn't done something, you know, more than just that one reunion show in the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if Guns N' Roses could happen, if Pink Floyd happened that one time, you know, the Eagles, Hell Froze Over.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This was the reunion I cared about the most, though, of course.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they write a new album.
Yes.
Now I'm no longer praying for the reunion. I'm praying for a new album.
I don't know if that will
amazing.
happen. It might be like a live album or something like that.
I just want something.
An alternate version, but I don't know if they would. I don't know if they'd do that.
It would be so cool, though.
What do you think about that? Do you think they'll do it?
I'll get your thoughts. Actually, I'll compliment the end of that with, you play more than just Appetite, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then this is actually part of the Shotgun News I was going to mention. News! It makes you laugh.
It does.
The
That's
one
hilarious.
listener has a problem with me pressing sound buttons. You go fuck yourself. So last night they came back to North America. They played in Philly, and they added 2 Chinese Democracy songs. Madagascar, which they have not played, I think, since 2001. It might be the last time. Because I'm going to the Garden. That's where they're playing at the Garden this week.
Yep.
And I saw them at the Garden in 2002 with Buckethead and Stinson and everything. So they played Madagascar then, and a song that I have been dying to hear live. But again, it's Chinese Democracy, and that would be There Was a Time. That they played Twat. I don't know if is that okay for me to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Never know. Most women. Well, I mean,
Rock and roll girls, you can't offend
Yeah.
us.
what about the word moist? Usually, women don't like the word moist.
You know, I don't know why people don't like that word.
I mean, moist isn't a bad thing.
No.
I don't even think of women. I usually think of like, you know, Duncan Hines, like chocolate cake or something.
Moist cake, yeah. I don't know why. But my word that throws me off is elbow. And not that I don't like it. It's
Elbow.
just
Elbow.
yeah, it's just a weird word to say. Elbow.
All right.
So
All right. You'll never be in a band called Elbow.
no.
So I guess with that, I mean, there are rumors, of course, so we try to touch base on all the rumors and get through, hey, if the fact or this is fake news or whatever it is. You know, there are rumors of seeing Slash in the recording studio. I just find it very curious that they seem to be adding Chinese songs, and they're not adding, you know, older Use Your Illusion 1, 2, I mean, maybe spots here and there. I would still like to think that they're going to make new music because it's still going. And this could be an easily, I mean, there are talks about it could be $1 billion tour when it's all said and done. I mean, it's almost halfway there already.
It's insane.
Yeah.
God bless him.
So I don't know if he's forcing this Chinese, not forcing it because it's still getting received well. If he's still forcing the Chinese Democracy stuff in live because I guess he wants to continue to, I think he maybe has unreleased material from the Chinese era. And now he needs, you know, he needs Slash and Duff to work on it.
You know what? I think, you know, just knowing the process of making an album, especially the way bands used to make albums, it's changed a lot. But you write 40 songs to make an album for 12.
Yep.
You know, so you end up with 40 songs on the board and you pick and pull pieces and you use what's strongest and you rewrite and you rework and you pick your 12 best babies to put on the album. And so, you know, every one of those guys, top to bottom, has songs that they haven't used.
Sure.
So it's just, you know, a matter of whether they're going to use them or not, or whether they're going to write differently, or, you know.
It's going to be interesting. I was paying attention to the solo from Twat because that's, you know, Buckethead. I mean, I had never heard of him before, Guns, and he's just incredible. And that's one of my favorite solos under the GNR brand.
Nice.
And Slash played it just like Buckethead, but when the Chinese Democracy, the song itself, or better, he kind of switches it up a little bit, makes it his own. So it's just I'm just glad that they're mom and dad are back together, and
Divorce is off.
Yes, and they're playing.
Whole family's under one roof.
I know they would if they hate each other. I don't know how you play 3.5 hours together. I don't know how you do that. Like, could you either of you? Because you mentioned certain.
Well, I mean, I think the playing together for 3.5 hours, it's one thing because you're on stage and it's different. But I mean, the part that would be difficult would be like the backstage, getting off stage, getting on the tour bus, getting in the plane, getting in the,
But how can they have such a history? It's like when you break up with somebody and then time passes and then so much time passes. Like bands are like relationships.
Yeah.
Like Mormon relationships.
Polygamous relationships. But, over time you stop remembering all the bad stuff and you start really going back to the good things, so you stop hating the person that you broke up with. You start remembering them for the good things that they brought to you. And I think that might have been something that's largely in part to this. Like they knew there was a lot of money that would be in this tour that would help that out. And then on top of that, there's songs like you want to play these songs again. You want to play them with the original players because they're the people who understood what was going on at that time when it was written. So I don't know where I'm going off with this, but
well, and also people mature. You grow up, you change. You aren't like
Right.
I'm sure Slash at 40 wasn't the same guy he was at 20.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You just grow up, you change, you mature, and and sometimes more mature people get along better than immature people.
Axl looks so happy up on stage these days, right?
And that's, and I hate to be, a Guns N' Roses, a social justice warrior, but whenever I see people online, is he late again? Just like all these negative things, I'm like, he is being a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
He's smiling. If anything, he's early to these shows. So it's really nice to see, and we've spoken about, especially on the show, especially with all the people dying now in rock, whether it's natural causes
sad.
or unfortunately by their own hand. I mean, people need this kind of environment. We talked about the environment last year when I went to Giant Stadium or MetLife Stadium, and just the environment was so positive and happy, all age groups. And it's like, and so that's what I would like this podcast to be. We're the Guns N' Roses trampoline. You like them in any facet, jump on, see where we go, but we have a mutual love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's find.
Can I tell you the best feeling vibe show I have seen probably since I was 15 was the Troubadour show.
So you went opening night, their reunion show. Yeah,
well, so we knew the Troubadour show was going to happen.
Okay.
And it was a question of how do we get in, and it's kind of funny because LA, small town again, everyone knows everyone. So with a few select friends, we were bartering information about the show because you didn't want to just tell everyone the information you had, because who knows if only 50 people were being let in and your friends got in, but you didn't because you gave them your information. So we would carefully trade and barter info. So I had a friend who knew Slash's dad's gardener.
I love it.
And he was saying, oh, no, the show is going to happen on this day. It's going to be a small club show. And then I knew someone else who knew this and someone else who knew that. And we would carefully try, well, what did you hear? Well, I don't know. What did you hear? Well, I mean, I heard that it might happen here. Well, I got some info. Well, I'll trade you for this info. So it would turn into this whole, it was old school. The way, when bands back in Hollywood used to jump on a rooftop and play. And it was kind of, it had this really throwback old school vibe to it that was super, super cool. And, we found out about it and saw people starting to line up outside of the old Tower Records, and they plastered the sides with GNR stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I was the 6th person in line.
Oh, wow, okay.
And
because I was watching on Periscope and Twitter, refreshing Twitter feeds.
Yeah.
Was hoping it wasn't, because it was in April 1st. It was April 1st, so I was hoping it was not a joke.
No. So there was, and we were all wondering, because everyone, at that point I knew it was going to be at the Troubadour for sure. And there was people lining up at the Troubadour as well, but they wouldn't be papering the side of a building, of the Tower Records building, with GNR stuff if something wasn't going to happen there. And then Fernando came out and came and saw us all and told us, you guys are in the right spot. Like, don't be running back and forth. You guys are good. Claim your sidewalk spot. And we all my bass player came down. Like, none of the other girls could make it because of work schedules and stuff. But my bass player came down, and we camped. We sat awake on Sunset Boulevard all night long. I mean, I got in line. Like, when did you get in line? Like 9, 10 o'clock at night. The day before.
Okay, so did you sleep?
No. I mean, how do you sleep on a side? I mean, I have a hard enough time sleeping in a hotel room with, a alarm clock light keeping me awake.
But if you knew about this, trading information, like, and I thought you meant this by the old days, you were trading like a chicken for,
no, we did. No, listen, we traded information to get to that point of waiting in line.
I didn't know if you traded information for a sleeping bag.
No, well, I mean, some people turned up with stuff. I had to work that night, so I came straight from work and ran down the street. Friends held my spot for me, and we. But the thing that was so cool was the sense of community that happened in that line. Someone ran to the liquor store, bought a bottle of Jack, and just passed it down the line. Someone went to the pizza store and came back with pizzas and passed them down the line. Everyone was just sharing everything and helping each other, and we sat there. It wasn't until 2 p.m. the next day that they let us in to get our tickets. So we had all been awake all night on a street corner, like sitting literally on Sunset Boulevard. The cops came and were like, "We wish we could hang out with you guys. Like, this is fun." We're people are turning up with 6 packs of beers, handing them down the line, which in LA liquor laws are really strict, and like you can go to jail for having an open container on the street corner.
You can't do that in New York.
The cops are sitting there and they're like, "Go for it, you guys. Just go for it, man. Just go for it." So we all sat there. We drank together. We ate together. We hung out together, and then we all got our tickets. And it was only 200 people that were allowed in that were fans, and 200 friends and family. And we went to the show. None of us had slept. I went home and tried to sleep. I had like 3 hours to sleep, but I kept waking up every 30 minutes afraid that I had slept past my time. This happened to all of us. So we all just said, screw it, let's go meet at the Rainbow and have dinner. So we went to the Rainbow and had dinner, and went down to the Troubadour. And I wish I wasn't so delirious from not sleeping, but we were in it. And you got there and they made you put away your cell phones.
Yeah.
And so it was the first show I had been to since I was a kid where people actually watched the show, and you weren't watching the show through the back of someone's cell phone in your way. So it just felt so old school, so organic, and the sense of community on that floor of the Troubadour, because the Troubadour is small. These are all the people that we drank and ate together all night long, and we all kind of went through the trenches together, and now we're here at the show, and it was just a sense of unity that, like, we were all there in it together, and it was so freaking beautiful.
That's awesome.
And it was so cool, and the energy was just so amazing that, like, I don't know, there was nothing like it. It was really, truly amazing.
That's awesome. And you were there too, Jenna?
Unfortunately,
you had to work?
No, I was sick. I had like 104 fever for 2 days.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there as they're all texting and showing me pictures, everybody waiting in line. I'm there going, fuck you guys.
Well, you're dying on the inside.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there dying and crying while everybody else is there watching the show. And it's one thing I wish I would have just gone like, yeah, screw it. I'll be even more sick. I'll go to the hospital. I don't care. But
it was amazing. Yeah. It was really amazing. And like, someone I met in line, they just come down with an armload of t-shirts. Like, here, I bought a t-shirt for everyone. Take them. Like, it was just, that's cool. Like, it was, when people work together, it's just so beautiful, and it was just this sense of unity and family and community that was just awesome, and the show was amazing. And I got to tell you, I know Axl broke his foot that night.
Did you notice when that happened?
I saw him trip as he walked on stage. I mean, I was 3 feet away from him when it happened, but I had no clue he had broken his foot, because like a champion, he went through the rest of that damn set with not letting on for once. I saw him like hop on his other foot once or twice, but I had no idea he had screwed himself up until afterwards. We were supposed to go hang out with him at his hotel suite party, and one of my friends that's close with him, she was like, he's in the hospital. He broke his ankle really bad. He has to have surgery tonight. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I had no clue. I saw him trip as he walked on the stage. It happened as he was getting on stage.
Did it? Okay. I thought it was when, I mean, not like it really matters, but it might have been like after Mr. Brownstone. Maybe when he jumped off. Like, I think he jumped after Mr. Brownstone. Well, then
maybe I just thought he did it when because he stumbled walking on stage. So I thought that's where it had happened, because
maybe he loosened up the bones.
I had no clue during the rest of the set that anything was wrong, and they played a really long set.
Yeah. They did. So you were up close because one of our friends, who's from LA, Art Tavana, who used to write for LA Weekly and he writes for Playboy a lot. He said he was the only one who was allowed to cover when the show from Inside the Troubadour. So
that's cool.
So that's like the only true inside. I don't think have we spoken to anybody else who's been to the Troubadour? I don't think so. That's the only.
Yeah, I was stage right. Two people back.
Did you see Steven there? Because he was supposed to be there.
No, Steven didn't come. Steven was having some back issues at that time or something, I think.
Because he
was supposed to. There was a couple people that were supposed to play with them, and they didn't. It was just those guys. They did their thing.
Then what do you think about, because Steven's still having the back issues, and this will be the last time I play the soundbite. News. Steven Adler recently just said that he wants to play with Guns N' Roses again. I love those guys, and it was great playing with them last year. If they ever let me do it again, I would definitely jump at it. I would do it just to get a hug from them.
Aww.
And that's
he's such a teddy bear.
He really is a sweetheart.
So what do you think about, he's came out, I think one of our buddies, podcast buddies, Mitchell Fon, he went on his podcast saying that, he seemed like bitter that he only got to do one show or one song on these shows or a couple songs, or he flew out to Argentina to do one. And he had some interesting comments to say about Frank. So I don't know if you...
Who did? Steven had interesting comments to say?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really not a great way to get back in there and play more songs.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think that's always been kind of the crux of their issues with Steven is when he starts shooting off at the mouth and they get upset about that. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into that, but love Steven, think he's a sweetheart, and hopefully they sort it out and they let him be a part of what he helped create. If not, I'm sure they have their reasons why they aren't. Yeah. So, and I'm not deep enough in that camp to speculate on any of that.
Oh, sure. I'm just curious as far as what you think about the reunion, because it's the reunion of three. It's not Izzy. It's not Steven.
I think I heard Izzy didn't want to do it.
The thing I
don't know what the verdict is on that, but
as far as the most recent information that's out there, Axl and Duff did Brazilian TV, I think late last year, and they brought up Izzy, and Axl was something about, Izzy is Izzy, sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out, and then out of all the mediums, like he's the president of our country, Izzy decides to tweet out that it was about not getting a fair share of the take. I guess he wanted to be split 5 ways. So we've had lots of discussions with lots of people, Stevie Rochelle from Tough and Metal Slugs, and he brought up a really good comment saying it may not just be about the money, it could be about where we play, it could be about set lists, it could be about all the memorabilia, it
could be about being happy where you are in your life and not wanting to step back into the madness.
Yeah. But they're saying that Izzy wanted to do it, but he wanted to do it for more money.
But who knows? I mean,
exactly.
Unless Izzy's the one that says that,
we only got that through
everyone has
tweet. Only got something like that through.
Everyone has their opinion on it. I saw Izzy play once. And it was after that same, so the funeral that I had gone to Slash's house after was our friend Randy Castillo, who played with Motley Crue and Ozzy for many years, the drummer. And Randy's one of the reasons why I play drums, and he's an old friend, and it was a very sad thing to lose him. But they had a memorial show for him at the Key Club, and they had all these guys sit in and play, like Steven Tyler sang, and all these guys jammed together, and it was to raise money to pay for his funeral and all that good stuff. And it was at that show, Izzy sat in and played at that show. It was the only time I've ever seen him play live, and that was cool. But, and it's the only time I've ever crossed paths with him, too. I've never, as easy as it is to run into everyone in Hollywood, it's the only time I've ever
we've done episodes on Izzy, and then our buddy Art Tavana, who I mentioned before, did a whole, he won an award for his article about Izzy from LA Weekly. And
wow.
He met everybody except for Izzy.
The elusive.
Just really well-researched piece. He said the only thing he didn't want to do was knock on Izzy's door, so he just left a note in his mailbox.
Don't go knocking on Izzy's door.
I'm surprised that joke didn't come to me earlier. I like that. That's funny.
It's one we use frequently about different things.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
So it was at that show that started Velvet Revolver, because all those guys were like, well, this is cool. Let's do something.
Okay.
So that began Velvet Revolver, which was interesting. But if anyone out there does know how to get a hold of Izzy, we'd love to have him come play with us.
Yeah.
Have him come guest. If anyone could find Izzy, where is Izzy? I had someone tell me, though, that back in the day, and I don't remember, it could have been Stevie that said this to me, actually,
Okay.
Stevie Rachael. But he said, someone said to me, they're like, well, back in the day, that's kind of how it was. It was like when Guns N' Roses started, it was Izzy's band. Everyone's like, oh, that's Izzy's band. And you'd go to watch him play, and Izzy would only turn up 50% of the time. So everyone would go to watch Izzy's band, but everyone knew that there's 50% chance Izzy's just not going to show. But everyone else will play without him. So I don't know how true that is, but this was someone that back on the Strip in the day used to go see him all the time, and that was their take on it.
I believe Stevie, and that's just now.
I mean, that may or may not have been Stevie that said that to me.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it may have been him, could have been someone else, but it, so it was just kind of like Izzy was like, he turned up when he wanted, he showed when he wanted to.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of, I don't know if do you know Raz Q as well?
No.
He managed LA Guns when he was 19, and he got Axl to be the first lead singer of LA Guns for like five shows. We interviewed him.
This is when Tracy and Axl.
A couple episodes ago. And again, just like, because he was talking about the young Izzy days, and it's just interesting how what became Axl's aura of just being late and not showing up seems to have stemmed from Izzy.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
I mean, it's just again, we break it down. We break down everything on this show because we could talk about Guns N' Roses as long as possible.
It's like pulling out a Van Gogh and going, why do you think he used that shade of ochre?
Yes.
And Van Gogh's like, well, it's because that's all I had in my tempera palette at the time.
There could be no meaning behind it. Absolutely.
He's like, well, I ran out of the other one, so I just said, screw it, this will work.
So if you've never seen, if that was the one time you saw Izzy.
Live.
Had you never seen Izzy or Guns N' Roses live in their?
No, I was too young.
Okay.
And I was too young, and I was a huge rock and roll fan, and I lived in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. So the only chance I would have had to see them was on the Use Your Illusion tours. Mm-hmm. And my parents were not going to let their grade school daughter go with friends on a 6-hour drive to a show where there's been riots at every show.
That's true.
That's not going to happen.
This is true.
No way in hell.
What about Rose and Roses, as Dee Snider likes to call it? When it was Axl and Buckethead and DJ Ashford.
I only saw that once, and that was at the show in Vegas. The show in Vegas, yeah.
I saw it once at the Coliseum. Was that the Coliseum? I saw once in LA with Ashba.
Okay.
Well, they did all that
Bumblefoot.
stuff up at the Universal Amphitheater. That's probably where you saw him.
No, I didn't see him at the Universal. No, because who was opening?
And it wasn't that I didn't want to see. I wanted to see it. It just time tickets. It just didn't work out. Didn't work out that way. So
okay.
I saw them, and that was the tour where Steel Panther was opening up for them. And it was Coliseum. I
saw the Vegas show, and that was they sounded great. I mean, the Vegas show, when they came out and they sang, I heard, because we were on the balcony overlooking the stage, and it was I think it was like at the Hard Rock or something like that, and not at the Hard Rock. It was at the Hard Rock, at the Joint, and I heard inflections in Axl's voice I had never heard before. And I talked with him about that afterwards. I was like, your voice is like, hitting the notes he hits, it's not easy for singers to continue hitting those notes throughout time. Mm-hmm. Like Steve Perry can't sing like that anymore. Mm-hmm. It just, it's a part of your body. It's not like if you could go buy a new drum kit. It's really, it's not that easy for singers to keep their voice in good shape. And I heard these tones and these sounds in Axl's voice that made it richer than I had heard before. And I talked to him about it afterwards. I was like, I heard you busting out some stuff tonight that, like, you were hitting certain things that I don't know how to describe it, but it was really awesome. And there was like these new tones in your voice, this new like warmth to certain ranges that was really phenomenal. And he was like, "Thank you so much." He's like, "I worked really hard prepping for this run, so I did like a lot of vocal exercises and worked with a coach a lot." He was like, "So thank you for noticing that, because I worked really hard on that." And I was like, "Well, I could definitely hear it. It was fun. He sounded great."
You can tell, and another analogy could be I use sports analogies a lot, where if you're like a power pitcher, if you're somebody who's known for like throwing 95, 100 miles per hour, you get older, and then you have to kind of change the way that you pitch. You have to be a precision pitcher. You have to hit the corners. So that's how I look at Axl, because we've been on this, again, another topic we've discussed on the show are just, the people who complain, if he doesn't sound the same, or, because I just saw Danzig for the first time and I loved it. But one of my friends who I went with, he's like, he needs to retire.
Was that the Vegas show?
No, he just played out on Long Island.
Because I know he just played Vegas and he was really sick and he could barely sing. So.
Okay.
But that's the thing is like,
I still enjoyed it.
Like, listen, Jenna and I had fun in New York City last night. I sound like crap today because I drank a lot last night. So, it happens.
But you're not the singer.
I'm not the singer. So I'm allowed to do that. But, I've heard some people talk about on these tours. I saw the show in Vegas. I saw 2 shows in LA. I saw San Diego, and I saw the Troubadours. I've seen 5 shows on this tour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, I've heard people say, like, oh, Axl sounded like crap this night. And I'm like, even at his worst, he doesn't sound like crap for one.
Right.
And he still sounds better than 99% of the singers out there. The man has a set of pipes on him and he knows how to use them. And not only that, but like when you're night after night after night singing 2.5 hour sets in those ranges he sings in, every once in a while your vocal cords get a little tired. And sometimes you might have a rough night, or you're in Vegas and it's really dry and your vocal cords aren't lubricated, or you haven't drank enough water, or little things like that make a difference for your vocal cords. Yep. Jenna can explain better than I can, but
yeah, it's a compromise of sleep and your diet and enough intake, and it's all also the surroundings. It's definitely like if you're in Vegas, if it's too dry, that's the worst place to sing. I hate playing shows in Vegas because of the smoke and the dry air.
So it's like people that like I've heard it here and there feeling like, well, Axl didn't sound great, and I'm like, he still sounded pretty damn great.
Screw
fantastic.
You. Yeah.
And if he was at 90% instead of 110%, go suck it. Like he's allowed to have that.
For sure.
Because that's a. I mean, every time I saw them, I've been so surprised how long the sets were. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
Oh my! It's
like that's exhausting. As a drummer, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Like
the only people I think the only like acts that do a show like that are him and Springsteen. And when Springsteen, half the set is like the E Street Band just going
jamming.
crazy.
Yeah.
And no, I'm just waving hi to my friend. That's okay.
I was like, we're getting the axe.
Oh no.
One more song, we're pulling the plug.
No, that's my friend.
No encore tonight.
That's my friend Tony. I used to work with over at WOR. A bunch of different stations here.
Yeah.
And actually, that leads me to one of the things I was here on Saturday because Demi Lovato did a show because it's a little theater downstairs. And she did not have it in her voice. Like it actually cracked a couple times, and we had to dump out because she went high and she cursed fuck. And we were live on the radio, so we dumped out. And but it was an honest performance. She's like, my vocals are tired. The audience didn't care. We love you, whatever. And that's somebody, she can sing.
Yeah,
she's a trained singer. So I mean, if that's happening to Demi Lovato, who's in her early 20s,
it's happened to every singer.
Yeah, of course. But it's just the world that we live in. So I guess because I don't want to keep you guys here too long, because I know you have like all these meetings and stuff in New York. Do you get that a lot as far as hate on, because social media is just the fucking worst, and being an all-female band, Facebook and Twitter, do people skip past your talent and just see, what you look like? Because you're all very attractive women, if I may say.
I have to say, from being in other female bands in the past, that people would be like, they have a hard time believing you can look good and sound good, but I think that's changing a lot. Yeah. People are getting a little more, they're getting better with that.
The world for female musicians is so much broader these days than it was when both of us were coming up in the business. Back in the 90s and early millennium, it was hell trying to find another female player, and she did the all-female band for a long time. This is my first all-female band I've ever done. So, and it's largely in part because if it's for every 10 musicians, you'll have one that's a female, at least back then. Now you see girls coming in girls in their early 20s, and they're shredding and they're flying all over. They're like, it's been an uprise in female musicianship and just players now that it's really helped us out with this band. Yeah. When we have to find somebody to fill in every now and then, we have a good pool of girls to pull from.
Yeah.
I was just watching your one of your videos of Welcome to the Jungle, because there's a lot of them up there. But your guitarist, she shreds. Like, she's insane.
All of them. We've been through a number of guitarists.
We've had a few of them.
Well, I watched a recent one.
A recent one? With little Ariel?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love her.
She goes for it.
Yeah.
And she goes for it. And like the work ethic and the girls that are coming up is really awesome.
Yeah. It's no longer, you're good enough for a girl, or you play pretty good for a girl. It's like, this girl smokes any of the guys out there, you know?
It's just surprising this conversation still happens because it just, last week, I know it's old news, but it's the first time I've been on the air since, but Cam Newton from the Panthers, do you remember that? It was like a news story everywhere, not just in sports stations, but a female reporter asked him a question about running routes, and he smiles. He's like, a female asking about running routes? That's funny. And he had to, you know... Right, I had I'm not one of these social justice. You know, I'm okay as far as people being offended. You know, I'm handicapped and Jewish, and there's enough to make fun of me about. But he gave an apology, but it was more of like, I'm sorry I offended you or somebody. It wasn't understanding what you said, that it's equal. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter that, you know, she couldn't play in the NFL because that's just the way it is, but you're still intelligent enough to know rats. And it's the same thing for you ladies. It doesn't. So that was just a thought that came to my mind, because you're very talented, and sometimes if people go, "Oh, play it," you know, or no, take it off on stage, and all that.
That's probably gonna eternally happen. Some jerk going, "Take it off," and I usually follow up with, "How about you show us your tits? They're bigger than mine." You know?
Yeah, I mean that unfortunately is still the world we live in to a degree. But you know, I try not to focus on that. You know, I really believe what you water grows. So I try not to water the weeds, and I focus on the people that don't have that perspective. And water the roses, the Guns N' Roses, if you will.
There you go. No, I like it. See, out of all the sound buttons, I don't have a...
Oh, man. I got to help you with that. I'll get you one.
All right, sounds good. Yeah.
Just have Rachael in here for your next podcast.
I should do that.
With a little cocktail drum.
Hey, if this ever gets televised, you could be like my Fred Armisen to Seth Meyers.
Well, what we should do is next time we come to New York, we should come have the girls like grab an acoustic guitar and come here and do a couple acoustic songs.
I was going to ask if you. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask if it was more than just the two of you. If you were going to do that, but I didn't want to put too much on you too soon. So no, absolutely.
Oh well, next time we're in New York, let's plan it, and we'll come back, and we'll come in and we'll do like a little acoustic.
I love
a little acoustic song for you.
So before I let you ladies go, anything you want to get across? Any good stories that I've missed? I possibly did not pry enough to get.
Oh wait, you know, I can add one last thing to our last discussion about being girls doing this. So when this band first started, before we played our first show, word had already spread to Axl Camp about us putting together an all-girl GNR tribute, and the response was, I don't sound like a girl. Do they think I sound like a girl? I mean, okay. Well, I mean, I don't. Why do they think I sound like a girl? So then we played our very first show after really only having one full rehearsal for this show. We played our first show, and some video popped up online. And then within 2 days, Axl was tweeting about us, telling people to come to our second show.
Yeah.
Really?
So that was a huge compliment.
I gotta find that
to my
tweet.
Lovely singer here in her.
Really?
It was that was another thing. I was actually.
Did you cry again?
Yes. I'm a crier.
That's
and
okay.
I was on the elliptical when Rachael sent me the text. She's all, Axl just tweeted about us, and like, holy crap!
We're guessing it was Axl because it's on the official GNR page. You know,
well, no, it was on his official, like his Twitter.
Because this was before the reunion was announced, and it was his GNR page that him and Nick that did it.
Well, but then I went back to the official Axl Rose.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like it was his, like it's like W. Bailey. It's not even Axl Rose. It's like his private Twitter, whatever, and he tweeted our flyer.
Telling people to come to our show, which was cool.
So cool.
So that to us, because you know, when we started this project, the other thing that was, so not going to dress funny, not going to have funny names. I needed to make sure that every girl in the band cops the right feel of every player, because each guy in
Jenna's squeezing air boobs again.
It makes me laugh.
I'm not going to stop you from squeezing air boobs. It's fine.
Each guy in GNR has their own feel, and if you don't play those feels right, it's just not right. So musically, it has to be authentic and spot on. So that was it. And then the other thing for me was that the GNR guys are cool with us doing this.
Yeah.
So because if they aren't, not doing it. These are their songs. This is their project. This is their brand. It's their music. And if they aren't like, go for it, have fun, then I don't want to be a part of it, because I'm not here to step on their territory or to, You know what I mean?
I do, but that just shows you, like, you're a good person. I got to say that for you to even think that far out, because it's just like, hey, I'm just doing this cover tribute band. It's not like you're licensing anything particular, but some people don't care. But the fact that you care and
it's being a fellow respectful musician, you know, like this is what they built, not us. We're fortunate that they're okay with us playing the songs. So luckily they allow us to do it, and that's cool, and they're cool with it, you know, and we're good.
But it's not like a Bobby Blotzer situation where you're using the name for your career. You have your own thing.
No, we're very respectful, not to step on, like, you know, our logo and stuff like that. It's in the styling of Guns N' Roses, but we don't ever do anything too close to step on their brand at all, because, you know, that's what's paying them. We don't want to get in the way of that at all. So we do stuff that's cool and GNR related, but we always try to make sure it's more kiddie than GNR.
Okay.
You know, because we just want to respect, you know, we respect these guys, we appreciate what they've done, and we just want to, you know, we don't want to step on that in any disrespectful way or overstep our boundaries, you know?
And from that, they've given us the thumbs up, which is given.
It's just
it's a huge compliment, and it's really helped us, because if they see us and they like us and they're cool with us, the fans are. And from the response that we've gotten from the band actually giving us the thumbs up, the fans have been ridiculous. They're the best. It's the best community of fan base in the world, and fortunately they've welcomed us with open arms. So
which we feel honored to be a part of that, and that they do that. So
grateful.
That's amazing. It's like when I had Corey on from Trivium, and he was saying that he saw Slash on stage once wearing a Trivium shirt. He's like, he wouldn't wear it if we sucked. They wouldn't give you your blessing if you sucked.
Yeah.
So that's
Trivium,
incredible.
Elvis did that album, right? Elvis Basquet was the producer who also did Slash's last 2 solo albums.
Yes.
Yeah. Elvis.
Yeah, you know your stuff.
Yeah.
So again, it's paradisekattyband.com, and you are how many shows do you have left on this tour before you go home? Like,
we're never going home. If we go home, it's just to switch suitcases, do laundry, and get back out.
All right. Because again, we're recording this on the 9th, and I'm going to put this up before on the 10th. So if you're hearing this,
fantastic. If they're hearing this, our last date for this short run is the 11th, right after the Madison Square Garden show.
If I'm awake, I'll go.
Yeah, we're at Blackthorn, so come on out.
Blackthorn 51 up in Queens and Elmhurst.
Yep.
So if you're around, come party with us. Like I said, you never know who might turn up and sit in. We already have some guests slated. Can't tell you who or what or why, but, you know, come down and party with us. It's always a fun party. It's a great way to end your night.
Yeah.
And, a couple other things. Jenna and I decided that we have a little special present for anyone that comes to our shows wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt or a Paradise Kitty shirt. So come see us at the merch table, and we have a little present that we have had made for anyone who turns up wearing their GNR shirts.
Did you bring me a Paradise Kitty shirt?
You know what?
No, but you are wearing your GNR shirt, so I have a present for you in my purse.
Oh, okay. In your purse? It's not Mace, is it?
Well, we are in New York, aren't we?
If you come out to that show, though, you got one.
Absolutely.
It's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any questions that anyone wrote in about that we want to answer really quick?
I didn't see any online, but I've been talking instead of checking. So.
All right, cool. Well, then let's just wrap it up, and we'll save the questions for next time.
Because you guys are going all across the country, so we have listeners all across the country. So
love it. So
it's prudent to everybody.
Check our website, check our Facebook, and we literally in November we're going east to west across the country. So come out and hang out with us, and and then we go back to LA and do some shows, and then in February we're doing the Monsters of Rock cruise again in the Caribbean. This one goes to Jamaica.
We're going to Jamaica,
so that'll be fun. If you've never done the cruise, come out. It's a freaking blast.
Yeah, it's the biggest party festival.
Who else is on that cruise this year?
I think it's Lita Ford. Here, I'll pull it up.
Lita, Doro. Oh, got tons of bands.
Let me pull it up
with
real
like
quick.
30 bands on it, and it's just a
because they're always great lineups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great community, and it's just a party, man. It's just insane.
I mean, you get to hang out with your favorite rock stars for a week. You're stuck on a boat with them, so
nowhere to go.
Yeah, let's see. This next one, they have Queensryche, Tesla, Thunder, Lita Ford, Winger, British Lion, Lynch Mob, Loudness, Taiketo, a lot of 80s metal bands.
Love it.
Yeah. So and along with us, with our fellow awesome tributes, we got the Atomic Punks and the Iron Maidens.
Our girls, the Iron Maidens, who
the
we
Rock
love
and Roll
playing with.
Residency. Those guys are awesome. So, it's a party on a boat. So if you guys haven't gotten your cabins yet, get that, because you don't want to miss it.
No.
Absolutely not. So again, Appetite for Distortion, episode 30.
Dirty 30 with Paradise Kitty.
Oh, I love it.
Meow.
And I'm assuming,
Meow, meow.
And I'm assuming you knew what the original chorus to Paradise City was, right?
It was something really fucked up, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
Take me down to the Paradise City where the girls are fat and they got big titties. And that was Slash's idea, and they're like, "Oh, we can't do that."
Well, we sometimes, every once in a while, Jenna will change a line to, why don't you just sing it?
Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are kitties. Oh, won't you please take me home?
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
That's all right.
So, Appetite for Distortion, episode 30. It's Brando. Thank you so much
Dirty
to
30 with Paradise Kitty.
Jenna Syde and Rachael Rine from Paradise Kitty. I was going to get like cat sounds. I was like, I'm going to go overboard. I'm glad you
we play up the kitties.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So thank you. So any final thoughts or any final air boob grabs before we go?
Well, we'll probably get a few real ones in later, but
no, thank you so much for having us, and thanks to all of you out there for being part of such an amazing community with us and allowing us to be a part of it. So.
Yep.
And you know what? That sentiment is also expressed from us here at Appetite for Distortion to all the listeners. I mean, the feedback is just incredible. I mean, listeners from all over the country and the world as we're continuing to do this podcast, and just more and special guests down the road. And I'm very glad that you are in town this week.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly.
I wanted to get an episode in before I potentially die. Sorry,
Don't
morbid.
say that. Don't say that. And that's one other thing is love and healing to all the families on the Vegas situation. I mean, that was just...
For all the shows there's been a few shows that have been targeted in the last couple of years. So you know what? Don't let that discourage you from going out and seeing your favorite rockers, because
it doesn't discourage you from getting in a car every day because someone got in an accident.
Yeah.
So
No, it doesn't. So I'm going the first show of this tour. Well, this leg of the tour. I went last year to Giant Stadium. Now I'm going to the Garden with one of my brothers.
We're going to be at the Garden, letting people know about our show afterwards, but we might even get in. You never know.
All right, well, if you do, let me know if you're there.
Okay, definitely.
All right.
For sure.
All right, very cool. So in the meantime, follow, other than Paradise Kitty, follow The AFD Show at The AFD Show on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow us on SoundCloud, on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, of course. Please leave us a review. If you can leave us a negative review, try not to do it because I play too many sounds. I'll do it.
Can we get that shotgun news one more time?
Okay.
We like it. Yeah.
News. Actually, and I'll do it next episode. I was going to start a new segment here called Get in the Ring, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I had
you just pissed because Bob Gucci and he gets more pussy than you.
Yeah, so, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and actually had a voiceover girl record Get in the Ring, and I guess you ladies were early, so I didn't have time to produce it. Not a big deal, but I want to get this people who piss you off. Yeah. So I'll mention the guy. So look forward to that segment. Again, more episodes, greater guests in the future. As far as the next time you will hear us, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll hear it.
You've been listening to the distorted minds of Brando and Scotto, dissecting all things Guns N' Roses on Appetite for Distortion. Follow the guys on Twitter at The AFD Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/The AFD Show.